Someone in this for life. No one is a stranger. Do it 'cause it's right. We're just matter, not for time better. It won't be automatic, but we all accept each other. I know life can be full of complications. You and me, you know, this our situation. Let's walk the change and celebrate a brand new day. Come on, start with us. Walk the change, work to be done right now. For everyone, get up. Start with us. Start with us. Gonna walk with us. Gonna walk with us. Yeah. Gonna walk with us.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is a little bit after 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, and here it is on the Pacific Coast, a balmy 80 degrees, and we're just enjoying a temperate spring opening here. I every single week we do this show, right? And we have some kind of a glitch. So today's glitch is my co-host is missing. So that's okay. We've got a backup co-host here and no pressure at all, but we're just going to shove her right into the seat. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go gentle on you. Anyhow, this is a little podcast that we like to call A Cup of Joe. It is brought to you by the Human Solution International. We're a federally recognized 501c3 human rights organization, and we are international. We're all over the world. We are just getting ready to start a chapter in Jamaica. We're starting a chapter in Germany. We've got a chapter in Canada, Mexico, and many chapters across the United States. In fact, I'm super excited to announce that we're steps closer to our Arkansas chapter opening up. And we have some great people that are engaging with this. And, I got to be honest. Well, I don't have to be honest, but I'm going to be honest. The Human Solution International has been around for 12 years now, right? And for those of you who know the story, I got locked up for cannabis back 12 years ago and decided to fight my way out of it. And in doing so, I asked for the help of people that might care, went around everywhere I could and talked about the story and rallied people together. And out of that came the birth of this little group. And out of that came a lot of people that had cases all over the country that we rallied support for. And then out of that, we found there were people that were locked up in prison for cannabis cases. And we actually formed our first partnership with a prison outreach organization. And we absorbed them into our organization and incorporated prison outreach. And out of that was really a powerful move. We actually got a number of individuals activated. Like for me, when I was sitting in a concrete holding cell, handcuffed to a wall, because I provided medicine to sick people, it shook me to my soul, and it woke up a beast inside of me. And I said, whoa, this is not okay. And I got to do something about it. And I had to do something about it first to get myself free. And after that point, we just kept going. And we have supported so many cases over the years. And then we found all these prisoners that were, in some cases, serving long sentences. And then we found these lifers, people actually serving life in prison without possibility of parole for nonviolent drug offenses. And that seems so just surreal, down the rabbit hole. Alice in Wonderland kind of stuff. Just how could this happen here in the United States of America, land of the free, home of the brave? And it does. It turns out it happens. It happens a lot. And so we became connected to many of these people. And over the last dozen years or so, we've become friends with them. We've engaged them, and we've actually helped and been part of a number of them getting released. And so Craig, who's normally my co-host, was actually one of these lifers, and he got out a little more than a year ago, and he served over 18 years in federal prison for cannabis. No guns, no rapes, no burglaries, no harming anybody, no victims of any kind. 18 years of his life in federal prison. And so the prison outreach continues. We still have over 140 people that we're in some way or another connected with. But now we've taken it to another level, and we don't have a lot of people fighting cases anymore. So we're not sitting in a lot of courtrooms, and that's good and bad. The good part about it is there's maybe less people being charged with cannabis crimes in states that are so-called legal. But the bad side of it is there still are a lot of people getting charged, and they're just not fighting their cases. And we don't hear about them because they're not standing up to fight. But we can't make anybody care more than we do. So, we help those that want it. We help those that we can. And we got enough people that are like, we got to do something. We got to keep going, So when Craig got out, we started talking about, well, what can we do? And Craig, after being locked up for 18 years, we come to find out that it changes you and it disorients you, and you become disconnected with the world outside. You don't know how it is anymore. Like when you went in, it was this way, and we talked to people a certain way. We phones looked like this, cars were like this, jobs, you interacted with people in this way, and then you get out and poof, it's like you're on another planet. And literally it's like you're on another planet. And Craig helped us to understand all these major differences. And in the United States of America, not only do we have the highest per capita incarceration level, but we also have one of the highest recidivism levels. So not only do we get locked up as citizens more than any other nation in the free world or in any world, but we actually keep going back to prison more than anybody else. And there's something really wrong with that. And we believe in fixing these problems, and we support changing laws and changing, policies, but this is a human problem. Our name is the Human Solution. So we are going after it from the human side of things, and we're here to reach out and help out those people that have been incarcerated, that got out by whatever means, and we're here to help them get integrated. So we have a program that we call Welcome to Mars. And the whole idea is it's a reentry reimagined. There's a lot of reentry programs that do a lot of good things, and we support those. We work with many of them, and some of the things they do we don't do, but one of the things that we do is we have a mentor program, and we connect with these people in a one-on-one situation. We let them know that there's a support team out here. And not only are we just a support team, but we're a support team that understands what you're going through. And so we have people that have been incarcerated that are some of the mentors, and some of us that have gone through the legal system, and have been, on both sides of it. And we're helping out in whatever way that we can. We have one guy we're helping actually get a cochlear implant, 80-year-old guy, he's deaf. He's literally living in the basement of a relative, and he doesn't know. He was locked up for many, many years. He can't hear, so he can't communicate well, and he doesn't know what to do. And we're helping him get the programs necessary to go get this implant, so he'll be able to get back on his feet. Some people need a job. Well, being an organization that's all over the place, we don't necessarily have a job for everybody, but we're connecting with other people and groups that do. And so part of what we're doing is connecting ourselves with individuals, businesses, and organizations that are also engaged in this kind of activity, which just so happens to be why we have Shalimar here. And we're going to talk about her business and her life and her program in just a second. I do this sort of wandering rant for a moment, and then once I get it all out of my system, then we let the guests do their thing. But don't worry, you'll get plenty of time. We're going to have a good old time here.
Okay.
Anyhow, and I'm kind of trying to stall a little bit, hoping that Craig does join us because he's my co-host and usually he does make it. Anyhow, but then I get derailed and I have to figure out where I'm standing, and that gets all complicated. So shoot, I totally did get derailed. Anyways, this reentry program, we're connecting with a lot of organizations right now, and that's our effort. You know, in 12 years of being a 501c3 nonprofit, we were always all volunteer driven. We raised a little bit of money, fundraisers and donations and things, but we never really tried to fund a program. And we found, you know, volunteers are pretty easy to come by when you're doing good work. But the problem is they don't stay. They come and they go. And, you know, volunteers are an interesting group of people. Most of them have something wrong. You know, there's something about the human being that in order to get a human being to want to help selflessly, there has to be something broken inside of them. And I don't know why it is, but I know it happened to me. And I know that most of my volunteers, pretty much all of them, there's something effed up with us. And so what does that mean? It means that there's something magical. We're angels in a certain way, but there's also weaknesses that we all have, and we have things that keep us from doing other things as well. And sometimes it's just having to, you know, manage too many things. Sometimes it's emotional issues. Sometimes it's physical issues, financial issues, whatever it is. We learned about 6 months ago that in order to make this program really work, we need to establish partnerships and actually get some funding. So we've changed our sort of holier than thou approach of just being totally volunteer and carrying everything on our back to actually going after some grant money and reaching out and getting some partners and engaging with other businesses and organizations. So we've reached out to some civic organizations like Lions Clubs and Kiwanis and that sort of thing, and getting some community support that way. I have another company that I run that I've had for 20 years, and I've dedicated 1% of all my sales to this program. So I've decided to walk the walk and lead the way and say, you know what, my company, Willow Creek Springs, supports the Human Solution Reentry Program. So every month there's 1% of whatever I made is going to it. And I challenge or welcome anybody else to participate with this. The thing that we're doing is helping people. If you get a chance to meet and talk to a lot of these guys, and we have this podcast that goes on Wednesdays earlier on Instagram called Welcome to Mars. And we have interviews, usually 20, 30-minute interviews with some of these guys that have just gotten out. And you talk to them and you're like, people have this preconceived idea of what a prisoner is, right? Of what a convict is, right? And you think of these thuggish guys who can't put two syllables together and all covered in tattoos and all, whatever is your vision of that person. Well, guess what? These are real people, articulate people, people that you look in their eyes and you're like, wow, that person is a human being. An actual human being. And these guys are motivated. You know, the guy that we just talked to today is in college. He's working hard to better himself, and he got locked up in the federal system over cannabis. And you know, it's a crazy world. When I was locked up, I was in a dorm with 160 guys. 160 guys. Yeah, you'd look at me and you're like, yeah, I belonged in custody, right? And that's what they all said. They're like, what the hell are you doing here? You know, and you know, you tell them, oh, I'm in here for pot, and they're like, oh, you know, El Chapo, huh? And you know, it's kind of comical to think about it, but it wasn't comical then. And it's not comical when I hear about it happening to so many people, especially youngsters. Luckily I was already an old guy when I got locked up, so they were easy on me, and I had some good stories to tell, and I got along okay in there, but not everybody does. And it's a very very toxic place. It's a very traumatic place. I know that I'm not the same as I was, and nobody is. Just getting intaked into jail will change you forever, much less, serving any amount of time. And I know that this work of helping these people that have gotten out for whatever way they got out, some of them just termed out, they finished their sentence. Some of them have gotten early release for one reason or another. Some have gotten clemency, commuted sentences, pardons, every kind of way you can imagine. But to know that there's this place from when they go from where they are to where we are today, that is surreal ground. It's a place where they're most likely to fall and not be able to get back up, and to land back to this place. And if anybody knows how it works out, when you violate, in terms of your probation or parole, or bail for that matter, they can lock you up for much longer, much easier. And it's what I call an ant trap, where you can almost never get out of it at that point. They tack on fees and fines and penalties and stipulations, and they just make it almost impossible. So what we're here to do is help these guys get back on their feet. We work with their support team, we work with their families, we work with, we're here to actually help them to get integrated and get a head start, and maybe start a business, maybe get a job, maybe learn a trade, maybe find some way to help us to help other people, all of those things. But that's what we're working on right now. And we've applied for some grants. We've reached out to a number of businesses to partnership. And Bobby Rodrigo, who usually is the cause of a lot of glitches, today actually was not the cause of a glitch at all. In fact, he brought Shalimar Williams here. And Shalimar, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. You have a great smile, and I'd like to hear your story a little bit.
Oh, thanks for having me. And thanks for Bobby for inviting me yesterday. This is pretty amazing. I, like you, was incarcerated about 16 years ago. So I've been out, I'll be out 14 years this coming October. And
Nice.
It's definitely been a journey. I own Holy Beanz Coffee that's in Portland, Oregon.
Nice.
But leading up to that, obviously it was very hard. You get out, and what does the felon look like? And I actually have those conversations every day with people that are coming into the coffee shop, because they have this, everybody's in a box, and what is a felon? What do we look like? Who are we? And so now I own this business, and it's almost like they think I'm a unicorn, and there's so many more of me.
Right.
I'm not just this unique person. I just decided to make a choice that no matter what life threw at me, that I was going to do the right thing. And no matter what, I was going to get back up every time. I'm no different than anybody else. When I got out of prison, it was very hard for me to get a job. A lot of doors that I knocked on didn't open at all. And when they did open, they would say, wait, you're a felon. You don't look like a felon. You don't talk like a felon, but what's a felon? And so I literally kept going, and I have a couple degrees. I still, even with, after I got my associate's degree, I was doing telemarketing, and I was working at McDonald's, and I've done Taco Bell, you name it. I've done Uber Eats. I literally have done everything possible that you can think of but I never stopped. I just never stopped. And so then when COVID happened, I do a lot of volunteering. I love Jesus. I love coffee. And I just knew that something needed to happen. I needed to change my piece of the world with whatever love that I could give. And that's how Holy Beanz was created. I literally only thought I was going to open a little turnkey coffee cart, though, and hire a felon, and that would be it. I would help somebody. And it's turned into something so much bigger. The magnitude of and the impact that it's had on people all over I'm in awe. I'm in awe of my own life.
I love it. I love it. So, you brought along a point that I think is maybe one of the most important points in all of life. And it's a thing that those that get it, wherever you get it from, sometimes you get it from the bottom when you just ran out of any place to go.
Yeah.
You find yourself at the bottom and you go, well, what am I going to do now? Some people don't ask that question. Some people just stay there and give up. But when you don't give up and when you decide to keep going, that's the thing that separates those that do from those that don't.
Absolutely.
And I just want everybody to know that, we all go through these times where it seems like it's hopeless or at very least, it just seems overwhelming. It seems so difficult. There's Craig. And it comes to a place where it always comes to a place where you have a choice. And I can remember, I was in the Twin Towers in LA, and it was a really ugly place where a lot of ugly people were, and a lot of violence happened a lot. And you heard about, stories of things that were happening on other floors, and, guys getting shot and stabbed and all these terrible things. And I sat there in my bunk, and I remember thinking to myself, well, at least I'm in America, because it could be worse. And I thought to myself, what if I was in Turkey or in Thailand or someplace where they pull your fingernails out and start pulling your teeth out and drilling holes in you, and, whatever. There's a lot of really, really horrible places where you don't even have a chance. And even as messed up as our criminal justice system is, and it is messed up, it's still, there's always the chance. There's a chance for something to happen. And I think it mostly happens, again, when we don't give up and when we stay the course. That's a place where miracles can happen. Like, if you give up, they almost don't have any place to go. But if you just hold your course. So, I'm a huge coffee aficionado. In fact, my show is called A Cup of Joe. And generally I have my cup of Joe right here with me. And coffee's been a big part of my life, and it's a thing that sort of represents that keep going in me, because what's coffee all about, right? You have a little sip of coffee, you keep going, right? And I am actually kind of tickled that you took that and made a business out of it, and out of this you're able to to help people in kind of the same way we're at. Now, Craig is here, and he seems like he's struggling to get in here, but I want to introduce you to Craig. And Craig, are you there? Can you hear us? You're muted. I'm asking you to unmute, so let's try that. Can you hear us, Craig?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, all right. So, Craig, you're the official glitch today, just so you know.
I'm sorry. I've tried everything. I'm downtown at a cannabis networking event, and I just get between my weakness and the phone's weakness, I think we're in trouble.
It's all good. It's all good. We have a special guest today. Her name is Shalimar Williams, and she is an amazing woman who came out of prison and struggled her way through life, and ultimately created a business, a coffee shop, where she employs women who are ex-cons, ex-felons, or felons, whatever you call somebody who is like you and me and people who have gone through the criminal justice system and often find it difficult to find a job. And she's up in the Portland, Oregon area, and she's started out, she was telling us a story about never giving up. And Craig, you're the poster child for never giving up. Craig, for almost 8 years, would call this show from federal prison, and he'd get 15 minutes to talk, because that's how it works. And he'd call into the show religiously, and all the different problems that happened, we were there for him. And in some cases, in several cases, we were able to help them get resolution to issues, medical issues, all kinds of things. And but Greg, you know what? You never gave up. Did you ever come close? He's at an event. I think he's having a difficult time. Well, Craig, talk if you can, and we'll let you come in as you can. Or I don't know if you're hearing me or not.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you ever come close to giving up when you were going through over 18 years of incarceration?
Like I say, I would get frustrated and have fleeting thoughts, but they would come and go just as fast, you know.
Yeah, I think you know.
We have a really cool question.
You know, it's interesting. So Craig is, since he's come out, he's been advocating and working, and you know, he's struggling to make a living right now doing you know, being an advocate and working with us and working with other organizations. But he's out there speaking at events now, and yeah, he's championing the cause and you know, educating people about this work we're doing, and you know, connecting businesses, nonprofits together, and you know, in my opinion, if we could just work together and consider each other part of each other's network, I think that's a big part of winning. You know, what are your thoughts on all that?
I think that, like he said, I think that I don't think I ever, going through what I've ever went through, I never came to a point where I wanted to give up. You definitely come to a very, like a fork in the road place where it's very dark, especially coming from, I mean, I used to sell drugs and hustle. And so here I am, you first of all, you want me to work paycheck to paycheck. How do I even budget? What does that look like? I've never had to do that. So
Right.
putting all of us in a box of, okay, well, you're just going to go to NA meetings and you're going to go AA meetings and you'll figure it out. That's not what I needed. And so I think it's important that we have these places and we all work together so that we can set each other up for success. I think that it's important that we set people up to succeed, and we need places like this. We have to stick together.
So when you went from working for other companies, you know, like you said, you were working all these different jobs. You're working for fast food restaurants, you're telemarketing, you're doing whatever it took. Were you thinking to yourself the whole time, you know, I got this vision to start my own business, or were you just trying to get by?
I think no, I didn't actually think that I would have a business until a year ago. This was just an idea a year ago.
Wow.
When for me, it was more so survival mode. The first couple of years was, how can I prove everybody wrong that I'm not going to go back to prison? There was that. And I know I didn't want to go back. I'm also a mom of an amazing 12-year-old now.
Right.
So really more so it was, how do I get to college? How do I get a job to where I'm not living paycheck to paycheck? And so once I was able to finally do that, but it took me probably 10 years being out for me to really come to a place of stability and security. And still, I was still very uncomfortable, because now here I am. I've made it this far. I made it farther than a lot of people that didn't. I know a lot of people that went back. I know a lot of people, but also a person can only take so many no's. A person can only be told no so much before they get discouraged and they decide to go back. So really making those choices over and over again. So when I did come to a place of, okay, what can I do? I feel like I have a sense of responsibility to turn around and give back. I had that it's my duty to turn around and to give back. There is that sense of responsibility for sure.
So when you went from, you were saying you just thought you were going to just open up a little coffee cart.
Yeah.
But you had said that you wanted to hire a felon right off the bat. So that was already your business model.
Absolutely. So Oregon has one women's prison. It's in Wilsonville, Oregon. So every woman that goes to prison in Oregon all go to the same hub. And inside of there's a coffee cart. And so I remember the women that work there have to be, I think it's a minimum of 5 years. So yes, they have all these barista skills. They make great coffee. However, when they get out, Starbucks is not going to hire them. Dutch Brothers is not going to hire them. There are a lot of places, nobody's going to hire them. pretty much. And so I remember my mom coming to visit with me every other Sunday, and she'd have her bag of quarters and we order this coffee. And so me really discovering who I was in prison and how resilient I am and how much I persevered. And not only as my childhood, my dad was incarcerated for years. My mom was an addict. And so, you know, they're in great places now, but I had to, when I was incarcerated, I had to deal with all of that trauma and all of that pain and hurt and really face a lot of things. So when I got my visits and my mom had these quarters, I got to have this really good coffee, you know, and I got to sit, I literally never drank coffee before I went to prison. And then
Really?
usually almost every day, I literally would sit on my bunk with a cup of coffee, Folgers. I don't drink Folgers anymore. I might be a little bougie when it comes to coffee now, but I literally fell in love with coffee, and I fell in love with spirituality, and I fell in love with Jesus. And I feel like I've created this space that no matter where you are in your journey, like you can come here and you can feel love and you can be vulnerable and you can cry and you can pray and do whatever you need to do. And it's okay. And I think people really feel that when they come in here. And I've been very conscious about who gets to come in here and who gets to pray over this space. And so, you know, somebody said, well, what do you look for when you hire somebody? I've had people come in here for a job and they leave with something completely different, because that maybe they're coming for a job, but really maybe they need a resource, or maybe they need a mentor, or maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they need to know where they can go get a food box for their kids. So they may come in here for one purpose and they may leave here for something completely different.
Nice. So when you you know, a lot of the things that we do, we do because we've learned some way or another. And, you know, working with people that are engaged in the federal prison system, there's sort of there's a pattern of activities, the way the BOP works, but every state has its own set of guidelines and rules. And then, you know, you got county jails and all these different ways that people can be locked up, and the different sets of rules that they go by. And also when they get out, there's also different agencies and different programs. So, you know, you've been out now for, what'd you say, 14 years?
It'll be 14 years in October.
Okay. So how is it that you are able to, like, what do you do to connect yourself to the people that are recently released?
So my mentors, which is my pastor and first lady, I met them my very first week in prison. So they do a lot of community work. I have done a lot. I'm a domestic violence advocate, so I do a lot of volunteering. I've kept myself very active, and now that I'm open, I've had a lot of some of like the sergeants come in here, but also like I've reached out to my old parole officer. So just really putting it out there to network on, this is what I'm doing. I also have connected with a couple like nonprofits that actually will give people that are doing outpatient treatment, they give them stipends to come. And so I'll give them on the job training to give them skills, because what I learned along the way is that if you give somebody a little life skill, they feel very empowered and they feel very motivated to go do whatever it is that they need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a big part of what's driving us is, you know, if you just help one person one time and you listen to, well, you probably understand this. Well, most of the people you help, you never hear back from again, right? It's just, it is what it is.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. You're not doing it to get anything. You're doing it because you're doing it. Yeah. But every once in a while, it comes back to you, whether it's from a family member or from that person or from a loved one or whatever. And they come back and they say, you know, that thing you did way back when, or maybe yesterday or whatever, it changed my life. That thing you said, that thing you did, I take it with me wherever I go. And I tell you, if it just happens once, it'll change you. Like people all the time, they're like, well, you're always spending all this time with your nonprofit. Ugh. And I'm like, well, it needs to be done. It ain't going to do itself, you know? And, but the truth is, inside of it all, there's a secret that is, you get hooked on it. You get hooked on being a part of the solution. You get knowing, whether you hear about it or not, that you know you're making a difference. You know that you know, when I was locked up, there was a point which they violated my bond and they doubled my bond. They had me out on a $250,000 bond for a pot case. $250,000, because because they wanted me to be inside. They didn't want me out because I wouldn't shut up, and I kept fighting, and they didn't like it. And I didn't have anything. They stripped me down to nothing. I had no money. I had no nothing. But this amazing woman that didn't know me that well, but she showed up at an event, and we got to know each other a little bit. She saw in my eyes what I was doing, and she saw I was going to fight for her. She took her retirement out and got me out.
Wow.
And that feeling of it was like, whoa, like for the rest of my life. I let her live with me for 5 years after that, and she could come and stop anytime. She'd say, Joe, I need a place to live. I go, here you go. It wouldn't matter forever, but to see miracles like that. Well, sometimes it's just giving somebody, like you said, giving somebody a hug, giving somebody listening to them. A lot of times people, when they get out of a place like that, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to give you the time of day. Nobody wants to give you a chance to be a human. And sometimes just sitting back going, well, tell me what's up. You look like you got something going on, So let's go back to the spot where you were going to start a cart. And what happened there? Did you actually start a cart, or what came of that?
No. So I made the business plan, and it was all mapped out for this cart. I did all of my forecasts, and so I ended up finding a small brick and mortar that was about 370 square feet. And so I was super excited. And then a couple of days before I was supposed to sign the lease, it fell through. And this was in August. So mind you, like this literally, I haven't been working on this for very long. I came up with the idea November 2020, and then I actually started writing my business plan in January of 2021. So, but I said 2021 will be the last year that I work for somebody. So then I took on a second job. So I was already working from home doing HR. And so I said, well, how am I going to fund this? Like how am I going to buy the business license, and what's going to happen? And so I took on a second job, and I was working at a factory as my second job. And I was mopping floors and cleaning toilets. And wow. I would get up at 3:30 and go work 12-hour shifts. And then I would get off work there, and I would do HR all night. And I did that up until March of this year. So that's how I bought my business license. That's how I started like applying for grants and getting every stuff that I needed. And so, the small place didn't follow, it fell through. And so I was devastated. I sat in my bed for probably 2 days and watched Netflix and ate ice cream, and I was done. I was like, how could I come this far and like, God, it not work? Like this has to work. And so I licked my wounds, and I said, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. My son was like, you have to do it. Like, you got this. I know you do. And so I got back up, and there is a pillar of Portland who I was like, well, maybe I'll call David. Like David does real estate. Maybe he has an idea, because I knew that I wanted to be in Northeast Portland. Northeast Portland is very gentrified, and it was my neighborhood that I ran in. I knew that I needed to be there. That's what I knew. And so, but it's very, very expensive. Very like, you need to have a lot of capital. You need to prove it. You need to do all this. And so I went out on a whim and called David, and I'm like, David, like, do you happen to know of a space that like maybe I can afford? This is my vision. This is what I want to do. And he's like, meet me on 26 in Alberta. And I'm like, okay. And so I get here, and it's just this empty space. And so I'm telling him, and I'm like, well, I kind of really want to give up. And he's like, no, you're absolutely not going to give up. Like, I've been watching your story. I know what you've been through. This is your space. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I can't, this is my space, and just like that, literally, he was like, this is your space, and this is what it'll do. And okay, here you go. And like, wow. literally, like, yes, I have done all the footwork and I've done all of that, but along the way, I've had people that literally he didn't have to give me this. I didn't have a lot of capital. Haven't owned a business before. And so really for him to take a chance on me and believe in my vision was huge. Like, it catapulted. And again, when you have somebody that like that, you feel very powerful, and you feel like, I can do anything. Like, I have somebody like that believes in me. And so shout out to David Ferguson for definitely believing in me. It's been amazing. Then I started applying for grants, still working 2 jobs. My son was still home doing school. And now I have a 1,300 square feet space. So I went from my vision was this little tiny vision, and God has something completely different for me. And so my one felon that I would have hired is now, I probably could have about 10 staff if I wanted to.
Really?
Yeah. So the goal is to be able to, I'm going to work with a lot of youth. So I've just recently connected with the Oregon Youth Authority.
Okay.
So Oregon has a thing that's called Measure 11, where mandatory 5 years, and that's like a whole nother conversation, but you're sentencing these young kids to 5 years plus, and they get out, they're young adults, but what are they supposed to do? Where are they supposed to go work? What are they don't even know what freedom looks like. They couldn't even do self-checkout. And so now that I have this space, I want to be able to provide resources for them and to provide them to be able to come in and get some skills, because as a barista, you can put yourself through college doing that. The tips alone, you can put yourself through college. And so not only will they come work here, but there's a lot of networking that happens here. This is a very community destination. So they're going to get a lot of love, a lot of encouragement, and a lot of resources that they'll need.
That's why we walk for change, baby.
I love it. I love it. So, I guess you've been doing this. How long have you been open in this spot?
Oh my gosh. So 4 weeks.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. 4 weeks. So,
and it is beyond the support and the hope that people get when they come in here. Cause I think now a lot of people come in here with a lot of curiosity, like, one, where did this girl come from? What is she doing? I get a lot of people that their kids are addicts, or they've experienced people that are been incarcerated. Like, so all of this stuff. And then they get to come in here and your drinks are made by felons or people in recovery or people. I have a retired engineer that just believes in my vision and he comes to mix coffee. So literally, like, they come in here with the whole perception of, what's a felon look like? What do we do? Like, are you a drug addict? Are you not a drug addict? I was not a drug addict, but I definitely made some fucked up decisions. Sorry, excuse my language.
No, that's okay. It's a podcast.
I definitely made some horrible decisions where I needed to go sit down. And I figured myself out. And so they come in here and a lot of them own businesses, and maybe they'll walk out of here and think like, dang, maybe I should hire a felon. Maybe I should change some things.
So how do they know that, like, if I walk into your shop, which I will, and you'll see me, and it won't be very long before that happens, I'm sure. But how do I know that you're hiring felons? How do I know this story? How do I know that that's what's going on?
So, well, the community has been, word of mouth in the community has been amazing. The support from the community is great. The county, the city workers, Channel 12 News came in here. I was on Channel 8, and then Fox National News, I was on there too. So just like, it's like, but I feel like because I move with love and I love unconditionally without expectation, I feel like it's like a fire, it spreads. I have affirmations all over the place. I have a chalkboard where people can write their own affirmations, because you never know. You can say something nice to somebody, or somebody can read something and something subconsciously may click and they may go light that fire somewhere else. And so just really cultivating a fire in the city.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Next week, she's going to have coffee on the shelf that has her picture and her story right on every bag.
Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Yes. I have holy beans literally for sale in my shop.
I love it. I love it. You're gonna get some of that Congo coffee? Yes.
I'm having Brazil.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I haven't had the Brazil, I don't think, but
that's
Congo
really good. Well, when you come here, you can have some.
I will, absolutely. So I guess let's get down to the long and short of this. You and I are in simpatico. We see a lot of things the same. You have a business that walks the walk. You followed your vision and your dream, and you're living the dream now. You're showing people that you can do it. I don't know how many, I've always supported entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. I mean, I started my first business when I was like 12 years old. And that's just what I do. I've always done that. And even though I've worked for people, I was never good at working for people. So I was always good at what they did better than them. So I just, I've always loved the free spirit and the people that are willing to take that risk and believe in themselves. And maybe now I'm in a spot where I like to really support those people that are helping other people. So your friend Dave, to me, I'm like, yeah, that's the guy, that's the guy I want to be. And I do that when I can. I have a business that allows other people to start a business as well. So it's a thing that's amazing. So And then with the nonprofit, you come to find out that, whatever it is you do something that other people don't do. But just like you find when people come to you, you're making coffee, but you find yourself being a counselor. You find yourself being a mentor. You find yourself being, whatever, probably a dozen different things.
The mission statement is purpose in a cup. So every cup that you get there's a purpose in it, and everybody's purpose is different. Everybody's journey is different. So every cup's purpose is different. It is purpose in a cup.
I love it. I love it. So I think that your business and my nonprofit just needs to connect in some way. We need to attach ourselves. And I don't know what that means or how it means, but I definitely, think that the work that we're doing, maybe it would be that one day I'll get an inmate that comes out of Portland. Now, I see the thing that says you hire women. Do you only hire women, or do you hire men as well?
No, so I do hire men. However, when I was released, there are a lot more resources for men coming out of incarceration or men that are in treatment. It seems like I was talking to somebody today that I'm going to be working with, that's going to be sending me, and there's a lot more men in treatment than there are women. So it seems like it's very men driven. So my focus is definitely women, just because I remember how lonely it felt and how there just weren't a lot of doors for me. There weren't a lot of places for me to go. So my focus definitely is on women. I think that representation matters, and that lacked for me when I got out. It lacked for me as a kid. And so just being that representation to women, young and old, or even men, that you can do it. Anything is possible. Anything is possible if you just get back up every single time. But representation is everything. And so ultimately, I am focused on women.
Okay. I
popped in, Joe. I unmuted myself.
Okay. So hold on now. So Shalimar, this is Becca. Now, Becca is an amazing woman, right? So Becca is usually behind the scenes. And I was hoping, she usually doesn't pop in. I was like, come on, Becca, come on. I was rooting for her because she's actually the vice president of the Human Solution. She's my number one, but she's also in Portland.
Hi, Becca.
I'm right here. I just looked you up. I'm going to your coffee shop in a heartbeat.
All right, I'll see you here.
It's awesome.
So yeah, Becca is a big part of our outreach program, our reentry program, and she's, I've gone up to Portland a couple times just to visit her, and so that's how important in my world, in our world, and in the Human Solution. But she generally doesn't like to be out on the front, in the microphone. So this is great. This is fantastic. So, anyways, I'm going to definitely leave it to you two to kind of figure out. And well, by the way, she happens to be a woman, so it works out. So, but I really feel that this is there's a connection that, part of what we're doing is building resources, building our network. I can't be everywhere. I'm just one guy, and I live in Southern California, and I spend most of my time down here. But I go wherever.
The weather's better there right now.
It's way better most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless it's on fire.
Yeah, I'm going to find a way to connect with you, because what we're doing is prison reentry. I mean, it's a perfect partnership. So I would love to figure out how we can work together.
Yes, definitely.
Don't worry, Joe. I can be everywhere, so we got you, buddy.
Yeah. Bobby travels more than I do, so he's definitely the guy that can connect the dots here. So, well, listen, Shalimar, I am really, really pleased that you're able to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I have a feeling that you'll be back, and I have a feeling that I have a feeling that there's a future for all of us together. The Human Solution and Holy Beanz Coffee and is got a future together. Is there anything that you'd like to kind of put out as a parting shot here?
I definitely think that we should definitely coordinate. Becca, let's schedule a time to meet. We all need to stick together, because no matter where you're at, we're all in the same box. At the end of the day, they put all felons in the same box, no matter where you live. And so definitely, it's good. It's good to coordinate. It's good for resources. You might have somebody released there that moves here, or vice versa. And definitely we have to give people a platform to succeed. They need it, not even just to succeed financially or in life, but just literally in life and mentally. Because when you get out, you're still mentally kind of in a prison. It takes a while to adjust. It took me, and I was only in there for 2 years, and it literally still took me a couple months to figure out, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't have a flip phone. What is this? Like, what do I do with this? And I think that people don't think about that part, and they don't talk about that part because it's uncomfortable and it makes you feel vulnerable, and people aren't okay with being vulnerable and saying, hey, I don't know what to do with this phone. So I definitely think it's something that we should definitely connect and see how we can work. And I'm sure Bobby will keep us all connected for sure. And we'll be sending you some holy beans.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know that some of the biggest work that we've done has been just picking up the phone and listening, talking to people. Becca has actually walked an individual off of the edge of suicide, and I didn't know it happened until the guy showed up at my house years later, and we had known each other through some other, through some business, and he came out to visit, and he said, when I was going through my dark time, he was from Michigan, and he said, I picked up the phone, I called your number, that was on the website, and Becca picked up the phone and answered, and she talked to me. And he says, I was really in a dark place, and I was maybe not going to get out of it. And she just listened, and here I am today. And I said, wow, I was just, but that's the kind of thing you don't ever know. Like when somebody comes up and steps up to your counter, you look in their eyes and you don't know where they're at, and sometimes just that smile or that willingness to just, sit down and say, hey, how's it going? That's the kind of thing that can make all the difference in the world. And I know you know that.
Yes. I do a lot of listening. People come in here and they want to talk, and that's the whole point of the space is to feel like you're safe and you're vulnerable, and wherever you're at in your journey, like you can be there with me. You can be there with anybody that comes in this space, and it's okay. And you just listen. I listen because sometimes you can answer your own questions as you're talking, but if you're not allowed to be who you are and be vulnerable in that space, then you're just inside your head.
I totally. And that's never a good place. Maybe, who knows, Becca, we used to have chapter meetings at a coffee house in Portland. Maybe we'll end up having a chapter meeting out there one day.
Yeah,
stop stealing my ideas.
Well, it's what I do. I'm a thieving varmint, that. Awesome. Well, Shelmar, I appreciate you being here. You're welcome to come back anytime. And I look forward to some sort of a collaborative effort.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Bobby. Bye, Becca.
All right, everybody. We got
Talk
just
soon,
a couple minutes left here. And Tom Corby has joined us today. And, as you know, Craig's out there hustling and communicating with a lot of different people and getting the message out, actually trying to make a living as well. So we support all the efforts that he's doing. And, we're doing everything we can to assist him and be a part of his re-entry as well. But meanwhile, we got Tom Corby, who is joining us from beyond the edge of Northern California. Tom Corby, welcome to the show. You are live on the air. How are you doing today?
That's always, as always, Joe. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, good. As always, Joe, I want to thank you, and especially Craig Cecil, Candace, and nice to have Holy Beanz joining our team. A great talk today. I just remembering to breathe. Sometimes that helps me get connected.
Yeah.
I've just been out mowing the lawn. I just got in.
We go in
So,
and out and in and out.
So just an update on our birthday bonanza this weekend.
Yeah, I hear you're turning 48.
Yeah, we're hoping you could make it up.
Opened up the down the line backhand.
Oh, I'm not sure what's going on there.
So Alex Lyons, Butte County coordinator for the Human Solution International, posted the event.
Woo.
And so I went into invite and it canceled the event.
Oh man.
So we could, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty stupid. So I got this here. Oh, there. Okay, so just to let everybody know, and I tried to post it, definitely still on. There are probably going to be 50, 60 people here. Dr. Tammy's, Bubba, and a lot of our team and good friends will be there. And I just don't, I can't relate to being going to be 79 years old, March 6th. And I would suggest taking advantage of every moment. It blows by awful fast. And always don't forget to breathe. Just help me. So all friends are invited. Be glad to have you. We're going to have overnight. We got horseshoes. I'm trying to get a croquette set, and got Tito, the band, coming. So we have a 25-pound turkey.
Wow.
90 seconds.
And there's nothing like a turkey.
Nothing like it.
And we'll have good food, music with friends and family. I just thought of what's going on with Ramon up there in Shafter County, because when I go through this, we got Butte County, we got Tehanga County, and we got Shafter County. You're supposed to laugh.
Yeah, it's not that funny though.
60 seconds.
And of course, we know that because we stand our ground, we don't make deals. We take them to trial. They can't do it. Joe's brought out many times, if just 8% of people would stand their ground, 10%, and take them to trial, they can't do it. This is how we won in Northern California. It's just amazing what we went through since we got busted probably almost 15 years ago. And again, without the Human Solution International,
10 seconds.
Donna, bless her heart, rest in peace, probably would have went to jail. We were up for 20 years. Can you relate to that? Interstate commerce, psilocybin mushrooms, guns, you name it. Oh, it's a tough thing to go through. I hope you never have to. But anybody that has a case or a friend that has a case, get a hold of us and we'll help advocate. That's a big word. We always take them to trial and file for speedy trial, the 45 day time waiver, and on a 995 dismissed probable cause motion, have your doctor's recommendation, use your collective, doctor's rule, no matter. I want to thank everybody again today. I'm looking forward to seeing whoever can make it to the party. Be honored to have you. And we'll see you all next week. And as always, don't forget to breathe. Thank you all today.
All right, Tom. Well, thank you for joining us. And we want to thank Shalimar from Holy Beanz Coffee. Of course, Becca, amazing Becca, and Tom and Bobby Rodrigo. Hell, he put this thing together today. And you know, let's remember to come together. Let's remember that you know, we can do anything if we set our minds to it. If we decide to work together, we can do this. I saw a post that was put up the other day, and it was by Martin Luther King, and I don't remember exactly the exact words, but it was something to the effect of, if those of us that love peace organize ourselves as well as those that love war, we get anything we want. We make this thing happen. Why don't we do that? Why don't we organize ourselves? Why don't we decide to work together? Why don't we decide that peace is the way, that we can end the problems, end the disparities, end the injustices, and be the human solution. We'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.